Most people are not exhausted from effort. They are exhausted from wanting to be seen. They work, they struggle, they sacrifice, but beneath it all there is a quiet hunger for recognition, a nod, a reward, a name spoken aloud. The warrior was trained to cut that hunger out completely, not because recognition was forbidden, but because needing it made the mind weak. In ancient Japan, this was understood with brutal clarity. A warrior who acted for praise was already compromised. A warrior who needed acknowledgment was no longer free. Long before modern psychology tried to explain ego and validation, the samurai had already designed a way of life that removed the need to be witnessed. They acted because the action itself was the path. This is the warrior's rule. Act without needing recognition. This principle appears again and again in Bushido, in Zen monasteries, and most clearly in the life and writings of Miyamoto Musashi. Musashi warned against attachment to reputation, approval, and visible reward. In his Dakad, written near the end of his life, he advised the warrior to do nothing that is of no use and to not seek pleasure for its own sake. Recognition was a pleasure, and pleasures weakened the blade. Chapter 1. The Invisible Burden. There is a man living in the modern world. He is capable, disciplined, and serious about his work. He does not speak much about his efforts, but internally, he keeps a quiet score. When no one notices, something inside him tightens. When his effort goes unseen, he feels diminished, as if his labor has somehow failed to exist. He tells himself this is normal, but over time it begins to poison his discipline. He starts adjusting his actions, not consciously, but subtly. He chooses tasks that are more visible. He delays difficult work that no one will notice. He speaks when silence would be stronger. His effort becomes fragmented, shaped by the imagined eyes of others rather than by principle. Without realizing it, he has become dependent. This dependency is not loud. It does not announce itself. It disguises itself as ambition, as fairness, as a desire to be appreciated. But to the samurai, this was one of the most dangerous internal enemies. A man who needs recognition is no longer acting from clarity. He is reacting to absence. Zen teachings describe this as the divided mind. One part of the self acts, while the other watches itself acting. The warrior trained to remove the watcher. Action had to be complete, undivided, and finished the moment it was done. Nothing extra was required. Chapter 2. Musashi and the Erasure of Applause. Miyamoto Musashi fought over 60 duels and never lost. Yet he did not seek court favor, official rank, or lasting fame. He lived for years as a wanderer, sleeping outdoors, training alone, writing not to impress but to clarify. When his name spread, it was incidental. He did not cultivate it. Musashi understood something unsettling. Recognition creates a second master. When your action depends on how it will be perceived, you are no longer following the way. You are negotiating with an audience that may not even exist. This negotiation weakens presence. In the Book of Five Rings, Musashi emphasizes directness, simplicity, and freedom from unnecessary concern. He warns against decorative technique and false polish. These were not just martial errors, they were psychological traps. To decorate an action is to seek response. To seek response is to lose independence. The samurai ideal was not invisibility for its own sake. It was sovereignty. A man who acts without needing recognition cannot be controlled through praise or ignored into submission. He becomes difficult to manipulate because his motivation does not leak outward. His discipline is sealed. Chapter 3. The modern struggle for validation. The modern world quietly trains the opposite habit. From a young age, people are rewarded for being seen, not for being aligned. Effort is externalized, measured, displayed. Silence is mistaken for absence. Work done in private is assumed to be incomplete. Our modern character feels this pressure constantly. Even when alone, he imagines an audience. He narrates his effort in his mind as if someone might be watching later. This narration fractures his focus. Instead of immersion, there is performance. Zen calls this a loss of ichiju zamai, the state of complete absorption in one act. When recognition enters, the mind splits. One part works, the other waits for response. The samurai trained to close this gap entirely. Over time, the man notices something unsettling. On days when praise is absent, his discipline weakens, his energy drops. His commitment feels heavier. This reveals the truth. His strength was never fully internal, it was borrowed. Chapter 4. The warrior's system of removal. The samurai did not add motivation. They removed dependence. This is an important distinction. Modern thinking tries to build discipline by stacking incentives. The warrior removed the need for incentives altogether. One of the core practices in Zen training was silent repetition. Tasks were performed daily with no variation, no commentary, and no acknowledgment. Cleaning floors, drawing water, sitting in stillness. No praise followed. No progress was announced. The task was complete because it was done. This trained the nervous system to detach effort from reward. Over time, action became lighter. The weight of expectation dissolved. Discipline stopped feeling like strain and began to feel like alignment. Our modern character begins to experiment with this, almost accidentally. He chooses one task each day that will never be seen. No announcement, no record, no mention. At first, it feels uncomfortable. The mind resists. It asks, what is the point? This question reveals how deep the dependency runs. The samurai would not answer that question. They would continue. Chapter 5. Silence as inner armor. As days pass, something shifts. The man's internal dialogue begins to quiet. Without the anticipation of recognition, his actions become cleaner. He notices less emotional turbulence, less resentment, less self-negotiation. Silence, he realizes, is not emptiness, it is containment. When effort is sealed within, it stops leaking outward. This creates a sense of inner solidity that is difficult to explain but easy to feel. Bushido emphasized restraint not just in speech, but in display. The warrior did not announce readiness. He embodied it. He did not explain discipline. He lived it. Explanation was for those who needed reassurance. The absence of recognition begins to feel like freedom. There is nothing to defend, nothing to prove. Action stands on its own. This is why Zen masters warned against seeking acknowledgment for good deeds. The deed was already complete. Chapter 6. Identity without witness. One of the deepest transformations occurs at the level of identity. When recognition is removed, identity loses its audience. The question shifts from who am I to others to what do I uphold when no one is watching. This was central to samurai training. Honor was not situational. It did not depend on visibility. A warrior who only behaved honorably when observed was not honorable. He was strategic. Our modern character feels this shift sharply. His self-image becomes quieter, less defined by comparison, more grounded in routine. He begins to trust his own standards rather than external feedback. Zen describes this as returning to original mind, a state where action arises naturally from principle, not from image management. In this state, discipline no longer feels heroic. It feels ordinary. Chapter 7. Acting without needing to be seen. The final stage is subtle. The man stops thinking about recognition entirely. Not through suppression, but through irrelevance. It no longer enters the decision-making process. He works when the work must be done. He rests when rest is appropriate. He speaks when clarity requires speech and remains silent when silence is stronger. There is no performance layer. This is the warrior's rule fulfilled. Act without needing recognition. Not to appear humble, not to reject praise, but to remain free from it. Musashi lived this way until the end. He wrote, trained, and refined himself without asking history to remember him. History did anyway, but that was never the goal. The way was the goal. Conclusion: the quiet path recognition is not evil, but needing it is costly. It divides attention, weakens resolve, and makes discipline conditional. The warrior understood that strength must be internal, silent, and self-sustaining. When you act without needing recognition, effort becomes lighter, presence becomes sharper. Discipline becomes something you inhabit, not something you perform. This is not withdrawal from the world. It is independence within it. Choose one action today that will never be seen. Do it fully. Do it without narration. Let it end the moment it is complete. Over time, this practice will change the way you move through everything else. If this path resonates with you, continue walking it here. Not for validation, but for alignment. Quiet discipline rewards those who remain.